Well, good Tuesday morning. Our elders meeting this morning was filled with joyful expressions of gratitude and praise as we consider what happened this last weekend in the little building. We had 78 souls gathered together to worship, and that means we've got a space problem. We've got an issue with the number of chairs we can set up. So we're praying about that. We're talking about how do we allow space for more people to gather together at the same time. So if you would add that to your prayer list, that would be great. We're seeking God's wisdom in the best way to make use of what we have as we look forward to the new building. So we're looking forward to that. In the meantime, we're going through this letter that the Apostle Paul wrote to our brothers and sisters so many years ago that had the same problems we have now. They were so distracted by the philosophy that I can and must kind of earn my way into heaven, earn my way into God's favor. And that's not it at all. In fact, here in Galatians 4, verses 19 and 20, he says, "Oh, my dear children, I feel as if I'm going through labor pains for you again, and they will continue until Christ is fully developed in your lives. I wish I were with you right now, so I could change my tone, but at this distance, I don't know how else to help you." The challenge in the Galatian heart was this tendency to feel like I have to earn my way. I have to deserve the reward. So I'm glad that our brothers and sisters back then were a little bit messed up so that the apostle could address the areas where they needed to grow up. He wrote to the church in Ephesus, and he said, when Christ ascended into heaven, he gave gifts to men. He gave the church. He gave some to be apostles, and some as prophets, and some to be evangelists, and some to be pastors and teachers, for the equipping of the saints to do the work of ministry, so that these saints can grow up into the fullness of the stature of Christ. That's God's intent for you today, that you are more like Jesus today than you were yesterday, that you're growing up. We expect that of all the kids. Sunday morning, it was fun to watch the little ones on the ramp. We've got a little ramp that rises 2 steps worth from the lower floor to the upper floor, and the kids absolutely love that incline. It's a perfect grade, perfect percentage of drop and rise, and they love walking down it, and they love walking up it. But when they get to a certain age, it's not so thrilling anymore. They leave that little tiny childhood behind, and they grow up. They can speak. They can walk. They can run. They can climb, because they've been eating and resting and growing and exercising and being trained. And spiritually, we need to consider that to be a good illustration of what Christ expects of us. We need to grow up. And for most of us now, that's intentional. We need to eat right spiritually. We need to exercise right spiritually. And we need to become like Jesus. That is the goal. And I am so glad, I'll say it again, that the apostles were not perfect. When Peter raised his hand or interrupted and said something, I'm thinking, oh, I'm so glad he was there to say something stupid, because if he hadn't, then I couldn't relate. I needed somebody to say what I was thinking, and Peter was that guy. The Galatians were that guy. They were the ones that were messed up like this. The Corinthians were messed up in other ways. The Ephesians missed the mark in that way. And so when we read these letters that the Apostle Paul was inspired to write by God's own Spirit, We're listening to the instructions that we need today. God bless you as you grow up into the fullness of the stature of Christ, to be a mature, Christ-like individual, where people look at you and they see Christ in you. And they recognize not just the actions that Christ would take, but the attitude that Christ has. And they would see the love of God flowing through you, through your words, through your actions. It doesn't mean we give everybody everything that they want, enabling, but rather equipping with a view toward maturity and a view toward heaven. God bless you. He loves you. And we love you too.